You didn't stumble upon this message by chance. It found you quietly, as if it had been traveling through days, weeks, maybe months, just to reach you right now. There's something in it that existed long before you even thought to look for it. A kind of bridge between what you're feeling and what's about to unfold. This isn't about prediction, it's about revelation. Messages like this aren't your everyday kind. They don't rush in, they land with precision. They wait for the exact moment when your mind cracks open, your heart settles, and something inside whispers, "I'm ready to hear this." Maybe you didn't even know what you needed to hear, but the truth is, this answer was planted long ago, through thoughts, feelings, and signs that seemed random but never were. Time, as you know, it is just a perception. The consciousness behind this message isn't bound by hours or calendars. It hums at a subtler rhythm, tuned not to clocks, but to your inner state. When you align with that state, even without realizing it, the universe responds. And it responds with messages like this. Maybe lately something's been nagging at you. A gut feeling, a pattern that keeps showing up, or that weird silence between one event and the next. That wasn't random. This message is part of it, like it's saying what you're feeling is real and it's coming. This message made its way to you because you're closer than you think. Closer to the shift, the answer, the confirmation. It's the first step of something bigger, something that's already started, even if it still feels invisible. Time isn't a straight line. It's an invisible bridge between what you're thinking now and what you'll live later. When you imagine something vividly, your mind sends that thought into a field that doesn't care about past or future, a field where everything possible already exists in potential. Wallace D. Wattles called it the original thinking substance, where everything takes shape based on sustained creative thought. In that space, time works differently. It doesn't race, it responds. It bends, shifts, expands with the energy of your focus. What you believe clearly starts to form. What you fear does too. Not because time's a judge, but because it's neutral. It just reflects what you hold on to most consistently, doubt or certainty. So when you feel like something's about to happen, and then it does, it's not a fluke. It's a bridge you built. Your creative thought crossed the veil of reality and reached its destination. And the reality you're living now, it's the result of ideas and vibes you set in motion days or weeks ago, even if you didn't notice. Wattles teaches that a mind thinking with purpose creates realities with precision. It's not magic, it's science. The science of forming clear mental images fueled by faith and holding them with effective action. Time's just the medium through which those images turn into reality. That's why this message showed up now, because your thoughts built this moment before it even arrived. The gap between thinking and living is the most sacred space of creation. It's where your faith gets tested, your action is demanded, and your reality starts to shift. If you can cross that bridge with confidence, what seems far off today will become inevitable. Ever had that feeling something was about to happen? And it did. You thought of someone and they showed up. You felt a restlessness and something changed. You sensed a path and it appeared. At first glance it feels like a coincidence, but it's not. It's creation. When your mind's in a state of vivid imagination, it doesn't just predict, it shapes. Creative thought, as Wattles puts it, is a tool for projecting into the invisible, field where realities are sketched before they become facts. When you feel something's coming, it's because your mind already touched that possibility. It saw it before you lived it. It sent it before you received it. The world around you is reacting to the images you hold most often. Every idea you lock in, fed with feeling and clear vision, quietly moves toward becoming real. This isn't superstition, it's structure. The structure of universal creation, where thought isn't just something you have, it's something you send out, like a vibrational command to reality. How many times have you caught yourself saying, "I knew that was going to happen"? Maybe you didn't know it in words, but you felt it in your gut. You felt it in the air. Your vibrational field was already tuned to what was coming. And that's not just an echo of the future. It's the reflection of your earlier creation coming back as form. What you're living today was mostly sparked by thoughts you had yesterday. And what you'll live tomorrow, It's being born right now. When you think with focus, you don't just predict what's coming, you activate it. You invite it. You start seeing signs of what was once just inside you. Because every visible reality starts as an invisible but living image in your mind. When a thought repeats with emotion, it creates a field, and that field sends a command to the universe. That's why some people seem to guess what's coming, when really, they're just creating with more clarity, more focus, more faith. This message is here now to remind you. You thought this before it happened, and it's happening again before anything becomes visible. It already existed somewhere else. A place your eyes can't see but your mind can feel. An invisible, silent field full of possibilities, where everything that could be is already waiting to take shape. Wattles called it the original thinking substance, an unseen ocean where thoughts act like molds for reality. In this field, there's no scarcity. Everything you want already exists in potential. It hasn't taken form yet, but it's there, like a block of marble waiting for the sculptor. And creative thought is the chisel. Every clear idea, backed by faith and emotion, starts carving the invisible until it becomes visible. That's the natural cycle of manifestation. Not a magical event, but a logical process, one most people forgot how to use. It all starts with an image, the image you project in your mind day after day, even without realizing it. That image sends a vibration into the creative field, and the field responds with opportunities, connections, situations, signs. The wildest part? It all starts coming together before you even notice. That's why messages like this feel early when they hit. They're not. They're just aligned with what you've already started shaping in the invisible. Nothing reaches you by accident. The creative field doesn't waste energy. If this message found you, it's because something you think, want, or fear already activated that field days or weeks ago. The universe responds to your dominant pattern, not what you want every now and then, but what you hold steady. That's why understanding this invisible field is so powerful. You stop being a bystander to life and start acting as a co-creator. Once you get that everything forms first in the invisible, you start paying more attention to your thoughts, intentions, and focus. You stop reacting and start shaping, not with haste but with precision, not with anxiety but with faith, and then bit by bit, what was just an idea starts becoming real. There's something in you that doesn't speak out loud. It doesn't push, doesn't rush, but it sees everything. A kind of deep, silent, steady awareness that's always there. Even when your thoughts are loud, it stays still, waiting for the right moment to make itself heard. And when you quiet the noise of doubt, it speaks. Through signs, feelings, synchronicities, through messages like this. This silent mind is the link between you and the field where all things are possible. It's the contact point between the visible and the invisible. Wattles teaches that there's an original substance shaping the universe, and it's through the right kind of thought that we interact with it. But there's a step before rational thought, inner knowing, the kind that doesn't need words to recognize truth. That's what guides true creative thought. Ever wonder why some people feel something's coming before any sign shows up? Why they sense shifts when everything seems the same? It's not luck, it's alignment. They're tuned into this silent layer of the mind. They don't just watch the world. They sense the field where the world takes shape. They don't just live, they feel what's coming, not as prediction, but as perception. That perception doesn't come from anxiety. It comes from surrender, from deep trust, from practicing presence. The more you quiet your inner chaos, the more this silent mind reveals itself. It already knew you'd find this message. It knew you needed this reminder. It knew what you're starting to recognize now. You've never been disconnected, just distracted. Every real change starts at this point of reconnection. When you stop looking outside for what's always been inside, when you realize your intuition isn't some cryptic mystery, it's the subtle language of your creative field talking to you all the time. The question was never whether you knew. It's whether you were ready to listen. Now you are. That's why this message showed up. Not to tell you something new, but to wake up something old, something that's always been there. That quiet, certainty, unhurried, that doesn't need explaining. It just pulses inside you like a secret compass pointing to what's next. There's nothing to fear. The silent mind already knew. And now, so do you. What you're seeking is also seeking. You, that's not just a pretty line. It's a subtle law that runs the creative universe. When a desire sparks with clarity and truth, it starts sending a silent call into the invisible field. And that call gets answered long before your eyes catch up. You're already pulling in what you seek, even if you don't know it yet. Wattles says that when a thought is held clearly and persistently, paired with faith and efficient action, it starts shaping the original substance that fills the universe. But most people give up on the thought before it takes form. They doubt, they waver, they question the timing. Thing is, time doesn't respond to doubt, it responds to conviction. You've already set forces in motion that can't be undone. They're working quietly, in details you can't see yet. Situations are forming, people are being drawn in, opportunities are lining up, and it's all responding to what you hold inside. So it's not just about waiting, it's about recognizing. The process has already begun. Sometimes the response comes in subtle ways, a sudden insight, a sense of calm, a different kind of dream. Other times it shows up as coincidences that seem small but are pieces of a bigger puzzle falling into place. Don't brush off those signs. The universe rarely makes a grand entrance. It works in whispers, and every whisper is a confirmation. You're on the path. You might not see it yet, but you're already wrapped up in the reality that's coming. You're inside the field of attraction. You activated yourself. The reality you want isn't coming from outside. It's rising from within, taking shape from your inner state. And the more you stay in that state of clarity, the more inevitable it becomes. There's nothing to force, nothing to control, just the commitment to keep the image of what you want alive, with the quiet faith of someone who gets how this works. Because reality isn't won through anxiety. It's revealed through consistency. You're already pulling in what you're after, and that's why this message showed up. It's here to remind you not to stop now. Sometimes the universe whispers before it speaks. It sends little signals, almost too subtle to catch, testing how well you're listening. A thought that keeps circling back. A number that pops up everywhere. A snippet of conversation you weren't meant to hear but did. Her feeling of déjà vu about something that hasn't even happened yet. These aren't random. They're quiet messages from the creative field trying to reach you. But we're not always tuned in. Too often, those signals get drowned out by routine mental noise or the rush of life. And when we miss them, the universe doesn't give up. It repeats, it circles back, it resends what you overlooked. That's why certain patterns keep showing up, why certain themes keep coming back, why some situations feel like the same script on replay, until you finally pause and realize, I've seen this before. Wallace D. Wattles teaches that reality, as shaped by creative thought, held with purpose. But before that thought takes form, it sends echoes. Those echoes are the signals. Ignore them, and they don't vanish. They get louder. Because the creative field wants to manifest clearly, and for that it needs you to be awake. The signal that keeps coming back is an invitation to align your focus with what's already starting to take shape. Maybe you've already dreamed of what you're living now. Maybe you felt something was coming, but brushed it off as a fantasy. Maybe you've thrown questions out to the universe, and it answered, but you were looking for a different kind of response. Truth is, the universe speaks a language your logical mind doesn't always get. Synchronicity, vibration, repetition, intuition. Now the signals are circling back, not to spook you, but to confirm you're in motion. You didn't mess up. You just needed time to recognize what your core already knew. And recognizing is the first step to allowing. When the signals repeat, it's not fate trying to throw you off, it's the creative field trying to line you up. This message is one of those signals. And it might be the last subtle nudge before things start to take shape for real. What you need now isn't more external clarity, it's inner presence. Because when you truly listen, the universe doesn't need to repeat itself, it just delivers there. Comes a point when knowing, feeling or intuiting isn't enough. The creative field has already responded. The signals have already shown up. Your intuition has already sparked. And now, The only thing standing between the invisible and the visible is one thing: action. But not just any action, it's action backed by faith. Not the passive faith that waits, but the active faith that moves as if what you want is already on its way, because it is. Wallace D. Wattles was clear. Faith removes doubt, and efficient action turns the invisible into reality. For him, faith wasn't blind belief, it was active certainty, a state of being where you move before the results show up, not out of ignorance but out of conviction, because in the invisible field, it's already done. It just needs to be brought into form. And your action builds that bridge. Acting with faith means moving even when there's no proof yet. It's making room for what's coming. It's stepping forward even if the path looks incomplete, because when you move with confidence, the universe fills in the gaps ahead. The missing pieces show up. The doors that seemed locked swing open, and the impossible starts falling into place to match your stride. But here's the thing. Acting with faith isn't acting with desperation. It's acting with presence. It's taking real, conscious, effective steps, not to prove you believe, but because you know you're already being met halfway. That difference changes everything. Action born from anxiety creates resistance. Action born from confidence creates alignment. And that alignment is what makes things real. Right now, you're being called to act. Not impulsively, but in line with everything you've felt up to this point. The silent mind gave you the signal. The invisible field has already answered. The signs have come back around. Now the next step is yours. And when you take it with faith, it becomes the most powerful step of all. The one that turns ideas into experiences, thoughts into form, intuition into reality. There's a tipping point, a fleeting moment when what was just an idea starts to take shape in the real world. And when that happens, it's not a shock, it's confirmation. The invisible didn't become visible by chance. It became visible because it was sustained, nurtured, driven by intention, focus, and faith. And now it's showing up in front of you as the natural outcome of everything you built within. You might notice it in subtle ways: a random conversation, an opportunity that comes out of nowhere, an invitation, a path opening where there used to be walls. These aren't coincidences, they're responses. The creative field doesn't hand you everything at once, it tests your consistency. It watches to see if you'll keep holding the right thought even when reality seems to lag behind. And when it sees that you do, it reveals. Wattles talked about acting with faith and holding the image of what you want with anticipatory gratitude. That's the key, living like you've already received it, even before you see it. And then at the perfect time, not a moment too soon or too late, the invisible bends into the visible. The idea finds its form. What was intuition becomes real experience. When that happens, something in you shifts too. It's not just the outside world that changes, it's you. You recognize the power you hold. You see you're not a victim of chance, but a co-creator of reality. You start trusting your vision more, doubting your gut less, respecting the quiet of your intuitive mind. And above all, you get it. This all started way back, when it felt like nothing was happening. The invisible becomes visible when you keep going, even without evidence. When you act, even without guarantees. When you believe, even without confirmation. And by doing that, you tune into the frequency of someone who truly transforms. What was once just an inner echo is now standing in front of you. Real, alive, undeniable. And if you've made it this far, it's because you're already at that point. You've crossed the line. What you felt, desired, and projected, it's starting to show up. And this is just the beginning. You might feel like something clicked today, like a veil got lifted. And now you see what's been behind the scenes all along. But here's the deal. This message isn't here to wrap things up. It's here to kick things off, to spark something, to reignite what's been quietly humming inside you. Because nothing ends here. In fact, everything's just getting started. The universe doesn't deal in endings, it deals in expansions. Every realization is a call to go deeper. Every signal is a chance to align more precisely. Every manifestation is a hint you're on the right track. This message arrived before certain things happen, not to freak you out, but to get you ready. to put you in a state of awareness, presence, and sync with what's coming. Wattles said, "The person who thinks clearly and acts with faith inevitably thrives." And thriving here isn't just about money, it's about living fully. It's waking up to your own power to co-create and never going back to thinking it's all just chance. Now you know there's a field, there's a connection, there's a cycle, and you're part of it. Always have been, so what's your move now? Slip back into autopilot or stay awake? Ignore the next signals or follow them with guts? Wait for everything to just happen, or move with faith in what's already in motion? That choice is yours alone. But once the truth hits you, it can't be unseen. It pulses, it calls, it guides. And if this message hit home, it's a sign the journey's far from over. There's more to hear, more to remember, more to live. So, before you go, I'm going to nudge you to keep diving into this path. Check out the other videos popping up on your screen right now. They're not there by accident. They're part of the same vibe that brought you here. Maybe, just maybe, before something else happens, the next message is already waiting to find you.